For me, maybe I can say the one that surprised me the most was chocolate hummus,
Yeah.
which was for me a little bit, let's say, crazy to think of. So welcome everyone. My name is Anders Morup, based. I'm originally from Denmark, but partnering with a handful of leading Danish suppliers to the food processing industry. Thereby, my focus is on the Middle East. One of the great companies we work with is Limitech. And today we will have a conversation, me and Nicolas, about hummus. But I think, first of all, welcome, Nicolas. If you can give a short introduction to yourself and Limitech, then I think we start from there.
Thank you, Anders. Good morning, everybody, and welcome and thank you all for participating in this short online webinar regarding the production of hummus. My name is Nicolas Jackson. I am the sales director for the company Limitech. I've been now with the company for almost 10 years, starting all the way actually from during production and assembly installation of the Limitech machines around the world, moved into the role of sales, and now is acting as the sales director for the company. Limitech is a business that was founded in 1993 with the focus of these high shear mixers, cooking machines for dairy, condiment, convenience, and confectionery industry. And today we are staffing approximately 70 employees and are working together with business partners and agents, representatives like Anders here in more than 25 countries as of today.
Excellent, Nicolas. So quite a history, both yourself with a lot of experience and a company with a lot of experience. And I know it's a second generation ownership of Limitech. So yeah, a great company. But today, you and me, we will talk about hummus, which is, of course, something we know a lot about in this part of the world where I'm located. We are starting to learn more about it in Europe and especially in Northern Europe.
Yes.
But I thought a good idea if you could just briefly talk about how is hummus normally produced in a factory environment. What's the process? What's involved in making hummus?
Yes. So, like you said, Anders, hummus, of course, originates from the Middle Eastern region and comes in many different versions and varieties, each to its own liking and to the market that it's been used in. And over the past years, it's become a very, very popular product here in Europe. Mm-hmm. Manufacturing a product like hummus in a lot of factories used to be and still is a very lengthy process. Chickpeas is a rock solid hard pea that is difficult to handle, and the way that this is normally done in a lot of factories today is that the chickpeas are put into some form of water and they are soaked for anywhere between.
So chickpeas is like the main ingredient, right?
Chickpeas.
So in hummus, chickpeas is the main ingredient. Yeah.
Chickpeas is the main ingredient. It's the core of the products. This is what gives the flavor, the taste, the color, the thickness, together with all the other raw materials like olive oil, salt, lemon juice, garlic, and all of these things. So a lot of different components and products go into manufacturing this product, and that's one of the reasons that it's so difficult to make. And the lengthy process involves as well the lengthy soaking process of the chickpeas, where they are soaked for anywhere between 12 to 24 hours, depending on the origin of the chickpeas and the dimension of them.
So that means you will have the chickpeas standing, let's say, in a tank of water in the factory, and then you will use them the next day, or?
Yeah, the way that this is done differently according to many factories. Some of the factories today they have a separate soaking tank, so they have a large capacity of tanks. There could be 10 soaking tanks with a high capacity where they have different system where they are adding these chickpeas to these water tanks, filling them with water, and then they have to sit for the next day before they are able to manufacture a hummus out of them. And that also results in the issue, let's say, for somehow the supply chain, or there is a mistake in forgetting to put these chickpeas into soaking, well, then you don't have any chickpeas the day after to manufacture your product with.
Okay, so then I have my soaked chickpeas. Then what do I do?
So after the chickpeas have been soaked, the normal and traditional way after that is done by simply transferring them to some kind of cooking, open cooking kettle is usually widely used. Another piece of equipment that's also used is a autoclave. And these are both machines that requires a lot of space, but also a lot of energy. And
I guess also handling, right? Because now you're moving it from one to another. Yeah, okay.
Exactly. And one of the things, as we all know, that in food production is the main priority. That's always, of course, to manufacture a good product that people like and want to eat and buy. That's, of course, the main goal. But during that, the most important part is ensuring food, health, and safety. If you can't guarantee that your product is not contaminated, well, then you don't have a product to put on the shelves. And
makes sense.
All of these stages where we now have the chickpeas soaked, now it needs somehow to get moved to a cooking tank, an autoclave, or whatever is done. And in that process, there is, of course, the risk of some form of contamination, but also a waste of product. As you might not, there might be some handful or kilos or whatever of chickpeas getting lost in the bins or get dropped to the floor or in the buckets or however they are transferring them today.
So that means we have the soaking, we have the cooking, we have the autoclave.
Yes.
And then we go to filling or further steps.
No, so then after we have finished cooking the chickpeas, either if they use a boiling pot or an autoclave, now they then need to handle these chickpeas one more time. And these chickpeas then needs to be moved over into some form of mixing technology where you are able to simply take these now soaked and cooked chickpeas and blend them together with oil, garlic, spices, and all of this tahina, into a very smooth and good tasting hummus.
Okay.
And again, in this moving step and stage, there is again the risk of contamination, but we are also now looking at 3 separate places where we actually are having some waste of this product. As all of you guys that are joining today and you Anders know that every time we have to move a product from somewhere to another place, avoiding spillage is simply not possible.
Makes sense.
Yes.
So if we look at, now we talked about, of course, there are many variants of the traditional way of doing hummus. It also depends on the market and the customer's liking. When you look at it from Limitech and your experience with hummus, what's the process that you can do with a Limitech solution?
Yeah, so all of this, Anders, that we just discussed, it's not to sit here and tell that way with soaking, cooking, autoclave, and all this moving is not the correct way to do it, because this is how it has been done for centuries now and decades in food production. So this is still a way that produces high quality, high hygienic hummus that is very, very delicious. It's not to put it in that way. But over the past 10 years now, Limitech has developed a way for us to do this process faster, simpler, more hygienic, and also with less moving of the product entirely. And
And you claim 1 hour, right? So,
and
so
we,
before
yes,
we talked about, let's say, soaking and the next day, and yeah, okay.
yeah.
Good.
And we are able to achieve this with a batch of hummus for, let's say, either a 500 kilo or 1 ton product in less than an hour.
Okay.
And the way that this is done is where we are simply segmenting it. Instead of using soaking, instead of using a separate soaking, a separate cooking, and separate mixing, we are actually using a Limitech Limix 1 for this purpose altogether.
Yeah.
And for this, I have a short video I would like to show.
Yes,
and
perfect.
I will stop and pause this and talk a little bit on as we go to explain to everybody that's listening on with us today. And I think
I can also understand. So it's always nicer when you see something visually.
Exactly.
It makes more sense.
And you should be able to see
Yeah.
to see everything now. So the way that Limitech is making this hummus is we are actually eliminating the soaking stage. This we are able to put it in another way. If it's for the customer's wish still to have the chickpeas soaked, can still be done with our technology with soaked chickpeas, but our technology of this basically goes upon the way that the chickpeas, and also as you see in this video, are unsoaked. They are pre-washed, but they are unsoaked. If you don't have a washing station for chickpeas, washing is also a possibility inside of the mixer, but not sorting in the mixer. Sorting of the chickpeas should be done before.
Okay, so basically I need to bring my let's say quality checked raw chickpeas. The rest,
yes,
you can handle. Okay.
The rest we can handle. Yeah. So for the purpose of this video here, we are adding raw, unsoaked but pre-washed chickpeas to the mixing tank. The next step here is then the cooking process, and normally you would be using several hours of cooking these chickpeas if they are not soaked. And the way that Limitech is doing this is that we have a system on a specially designed system on our mixers that are cooking them not only under pressure, but also forcing the steam and the cooking water into the chickpeas. And this allows us to reduce the cooking time of the chickpeas to approximately 20 to 30 minutes, depending on the sort of the chickpea and the diameter and size of the chickpeas in general. So at this stage, the chickpeas are cooked. After the cooking of approximately between 20 to 30 minutes, the chickpeas gets this very, very soft, very nice texture without this rock solid hard core in the center. And at this stage allows us to mix them into a hummus. And they generally have a weight gain factor of approximately 2.5, meaning a chickpea weighing 1 gram. After the cooking stage, it weighs approximately 2.5 grams. So they are absorbing a lot of water, and the cooking water and the steam, becoming really soft, really big, and very, very nice texture. After that stage, the main priority then is to add all of your olive oil, your tahina, your spices, garlic, whatever might be needed for your recipe. And this on a full scale setup can be done automatically and everything. After that, it's simply a matter of mixing the product together, making it as smooth as you want, depending on the texture that you're looking for. If it's either very, very smooth or, as many here in Europe, those semi-coarse, is dependent on either the mixing time or the mixing setup. After that stage, you have a finished hummus produced in less than 1 hour, ready for discharge. And as you see, the product here for the sake of this video was a semi-coarse hummus, as many of them prefer to be here in the northern part of Europe.
And what you showed me, Nicolas, this is, let's say, done in the same machine, right? So the steps that you just showed was done in one machine.
Yes, all of these steps here were made within 1 hour on the same piece of equipment. Not any moving of the chickpeas and nothing. So one of the products that we manufactured here at our technology center yesterday was a very coarse hummus, as some of primarily in the northern part of Europe is liking. And another one of them was this here, more smooth version of the hummus.
So that means I can choose if I want this type or this type on the same machine.
You can choose.
What's making the difference? Why? How do I decide? Is that on the chickpeas or?
The way that that is decided is the way that that's decided is a different combination of the raw materials that you're adding, the amount of time you're cooking them, but also the amount of time that you are mixing them. And we are able to achieve all of these different products in the same equipment within the same time. It doesn't require any changeover. You don't have to swap out any parts, change out any parts, or anything on the machine itself. All done.
And how do I make sure that I get the same product every time, right? Because I want the same hummus. My customers will hopefully like what I'm doing, and then I want to make sure that every time they get the same product.
Yes, and in ensuring that you get the same product every time, that starts all the way from you need to ensure that the raw materials you are adding are the same every time.
Yeah.
The machine will handle all of the automatic dosage of oil, water, tahina, and all of your spices. So the way that this is done is that on the machine is programmed. So it's an automatic cycle where you tell the machine what to do in each step. You tell it how long time should it cook, how long time should it mix, how many kilos of oil, tahina, water should it add. So as long as you run the same program and you add the same raw materials, the product is identical each time and takes the same amount of time.
And I think what you showed us was, let's say, in a lab size or in a pilot size. Let's maybe talk a little bit about. I'm curious to hear about customers actually doing full-scale production. Does it look differently if I go and see a customer who is making hummus in his factory?
Well, the hummus will. Of course, if you're changing your technology, if you're using the way with pre-soaking, a separate cooking station, and a third as a mixing station, if you adapt the same procedure for all of the steps into the same machine from Limitech, the product might maybe not look like the one you are making today. So it will require some testing, and it will require a few adjustments. These tests and these adjustments we normally dial in pretty good within the first 2 or 3 tests on our pilot equipment here in the technology center. So we are moving very, very closely to the product that you currently have. And
so that means you can come to me in the factory and do the test, or I have to come to you. How can I do this?
There are 2 opportunities depending on where you're based in the world, if you're listening in right now. So here in Denmark at Limitech, we have now a technology center, which is basically this design and layout as a full-sized food production, where we have machines ready for trials and tests, where customers are more than welcome to come up here and see this for themselves. We can run it as small as 10-liter batches and make a lot, and we will figure out something with raw materials and everything. So here
I can bring my own raw materials.
You can bring your own
materials. So let's say I want to do my hummus. I can bring my own chickpeas and my own tahina and
everything.
Yeah. Okay.
Everything. You pack it in your suitcase, and you can bring it here to us, and we can make your hummus. And the best way is start doing the recipe identically to what you currently do today, and let's see what the output is. And in general experience, that's always a very good start, and we are always very, very close to the final end product. But my honest experience as well is also that these companies that are making hummus today, they also have a very, very good and very, very strong opinion how their product should be. And that's because this is such a niche product that it is to each individual liking. And I have not yet experienced one case where we have not been able to manufacture a product that is either equivalent in quality and everything to their liking, or actually even better towards a product that they have been looking for being able to be produced.
So that means you're talking of an actual customer who has currently today, or maybe let's say before you started talking to them, they have already production of hummus. Now they have worked with you to set up a production using, let's say, the simpler setup from
Yes.
Limitech.
Yes.
Because I think that's also interesting if you can. Is this something new that I think you mentioned this is some years back? Can you talk a little bit maybe about who are already using it? What's your experience? What kind of experience already are there in factories?
Yeah, so I would say the oldest line that Limitech implemented for hummus was something more than 10 years ago.
Okay.
Where the same factory has this also in some of the other factories and sites that they have globally, which has been implemented. So these are both lines that replaced a standard soaking, moving to autoclave cooking, moving to a third mixing setup, where they had this system at many factories of their own around the world, which now have been during the first one was approximately 10 years ago, and now to this day, I think most of their factories are using this kind of technology instead. And they, at the same time, are using this machine also for both Metable. They're also using it for tzatziki and other products as well.
Interesting. So that means it's with one customer, or it's with many customers doing hummus, or let's say you have this machine in several countries, or
we have
that?
this machine in several countries with many different kinds of factories that are producing hummus as you either know it in the Middle East or as you know it here in the northern part of Europe, where it's very extremely coarse. And
Yeah, because I know in Europe, right, the hummus now, even in Denmark, which is not traditionally a place where you eat hummus, there's more and more interest in these type of plant-based proteins that people would like to buy conveniently in the supermarket.
Exactly. So here, especially in the northern part of Europe, hummus has become a very, very popular product. It's high in protein. It's good for you. It's healthy. It's not an expensive product to buy off the shelf, and it tastes really, really nice. So a lot of people are getting into that part, and that's also why we have definitely seen a huge increase in customers looking towards our solution over even just the past 2 years. And many of them are going from the traditional way with soaking, cooking here and mixing here, but many of these are also factories that don't have a production of hummus to this day already. And they are looking into moving into it, and they see a huge benefit with our solution because here they are only investing in one piece of equipment. It's lower on maintenance. But is also very energy efficient. So you're not using a whole bunch of steam and electricity and all the other components. As we know, if we use example autoclaves or these open cooking kettles, they are consuming a lot of energy. But they are also all of these equipment with the soaking here, cooking here. You're also using a lot of water, and many places around the world, water is also a big expense.
And I guess also people, right?
And
Because I
people at the
guess
same time.
depending on how you transfer,
Yes.
you need some kind of process to move it.
Yeah.
So okay, Europe. We are learning about hummus maybe in the southern part of Europe. Hummus has been there for generations,
Yes.
but in my part of the world, hummus is part of our diet, like toast is part of the British diet, right? So here it has a lot of traditions. We have made hummus in generations. We make hummus at home. So what you're telling me is, let's say, turning it a little bit upside down.
Yeah.
But I guess in that way, let's say you can test it, right? You can see if it can meet your expectations.
Exactly. And that brings me back to my point that I also said, Anders, that primarily also in your region in the Middle East, this stage with the soaking is, how could you say, a very important step that is buried deep in the conscious of the people doing these products every day. And the machine can also be manufacturing the hummus from soaked chickpeas and still do it from end to finish within 1 hour. From soaked chickpeas, it will even be faster because we save a lot on the cooking time because they're pre-soaked. But here,
but then you would still take out the cooking and the mixing and the autoclave kind of process.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
So you will have simply your chickpeas be soaking in a trolley or soaking in another tank. These will then, the chickpeas you will then have to add to the main mixer here from us. It will do the cooking of them. It will do the mixing, adding the oil, tahina, spices, and everything, and then leave you with a very, very nice out product that I'm confident that you would be satisfied with.
So that means the machine will automatically take in the correct amount. Let's say my recipe that we have found out how much oil, how much water, that will automatically go into to the process.
Exactly, and that's where these systems here have a huge benefit because a lot of these factories that are producing these hummus, they have a lot of different varieties, with particles or different kinds of topics, and in all of these things, it's a different amount of water, tahina, oil, spices, and all of this. It's a different amount that needs to go in, and our machine, you program as many recipes as you want. And it's just a matter of collecting the recipe that you say, okay, now I need to make hummus A. Well, it's this recipe, and it will take all of the ingredients automatically to ensure that you get the correct product every time that you're looking for.
So that means that if I want a variety, let's say when I present my hummus to in the supermarket is for sure asking to have some kind of a variety, some kind of a selection. So if I want a spicy one, I want one with some, I don't know, pieces of carrot or something.
Olives.
I can handle that. Yeah, olives.
Yeah.
I can handle that.
Exactly. So with our machine, there are two ways. Because we have this high shear emulsifier in the bottom, homogenizer in the bottom, you can either add olives to it and it makes it completely smooth as a puree. Or if you want to, because especially this first company I was telling you about with all these factories, they are making a hummus with chunks of olive in. And the way that this is done and produced is that as soon as the chickpeas with the oil and all the other ingredients are mixed, then with the trolley, we are adding the olives and we are stirring it into the product, making a very nice, delicate, homogeneous hummus with pieces, particles of olives. It could be chili flakes, bell peppers, red peppers, onions, whatever the imagination. It's only that that's the limit at that point.
And then we deliver it
to the filler.
To the filler. Two things I would like also to talk about now. We talk about the process. One is the cleaning part. How do I clean when I go between a chili and maybe a plain hummus? But also, can you talk a little bit about how you do the cooking? Are you using tap water? What happens to the water? How do you said you could also rinse the chickpeas. Is that also just done with tap water?
Yeah. So if we start with the rinsing of the chickpeas, of course, all of the water and everything that goes into the mixing tank needs to be some form of processed water. So that can come if you have a filtration or whatever you have on your tap, that can be used. So for the washing of the chickpeas, what is done is that we have some specific drain valves in the bottom of the mixing tank, where we simply are spraying water from top that goes out on all of the chickpeas, rinses them off, and this potentially dirty water will exit. All of it will exit from the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
So that is one of the ways for rinsing can be done inside of the machine. For the cooking, this is also done many traditional ways. Some of the factories that we do these processes in, they would like to almost fill the tank to the brim with water and cook them in. So the chickpeas are cooked in a lot of water. After the cooking procedure, this water then they need to take out. And some factories, they use this for other purposes. That could be a discussion for another day. But
because it will have some protein, right?
It has a lot of protein, fibers, minerals, and another good natural things into it. So some factories, they are simply dumping all of that water and they are using it for something else. But also what a lot of other factories, they are doing is that They are adding the correct amount of water for the cooking phase that needs to go in the total recipe. This means that after the cooking procedure, the water that the chickpeas have been cooked and steamed in is the water that is used in the recipe. So here, by doing this way, there is actually a 100% yield. So if you're adding,
and you keep the protein, I guess, now,
you
right?
keep the
Now you're not
protein,
taking, yeah, okay.
you're not taking it out, so you keep a lot of good different nutritional items. And as soon as these things, you're adding then the rest of the tahina. So you are adding basically a total, let's say 1,000 kilos of a mixture of chickpeas, water, and everything. You're not dumping out any of it. You're mixing that together, and then you're moving it out to the filling line.
Mm. And you're doing this with, let's say, water that is suitable in food production, right?
Suitable in food
with a
production. Yes.
filtration, it depends factory by factory. What is their water source, and then this water is used in the process.
Exactly, and let alone that part, doing it that way, which is mostly done, that saves a lot of water instead of using a lot of cooking water when it goes into the product.
Yeah, makes sense. And then cleaning the machine,
Yes.
because hummus and other types of these products are quite sticky.
Yes.
And can I go from one flavor to another flavor? How do I do that?
So all of the equipment that we do standard comes with integrated CIP spray nozzles, internal CIP. That means that all of our machines are capable of cleaning themselves. So it will automatically add the water, recirculate, flush it, rinse it, and get all of it out. So the changeover from products, because of this integrated CIP system, becomes very, very fast. For instance, there could also be times where it's not necessary to make these changeovers. If the first 2 or 3 batches you are doing is a plain hummus like the one I'm sitting with right here, and then the next product could be one with olives inside. Well, if the base is the same, the only extra addition are the olives, then maybe it's not necessary to do an intimate clean between.
Okay. And that will be handled, let's say, on the machine, right?
That will be handled on the machine by the machine. It's capable of doing it itself, but it's also capable of being connected to a centralized CIP system if that is inside of the factory.
And you have 2 samples. I saw you had a
Yes.
coarse and a smooth. What's the ratio, water to chickpeas? Is that 50-50? If I want to keep all the water, I guess it depends on the chickpea, but can you say something about that?
Yeah, well, that is a part of the recipe that depends a lot regards to the area of the world that it's produced, and also the way that they want to manufacture them. But a general rule of thumb is that the percentages of chickpeas varies between 23 to 45% of the total content of chickpeas inside of the hummus. And a water ratio there, what I see a lot of places is they use a lot of water to keep the cost down. Some other places they use a lot of oil and tahina instead to maybe keep the quality up, but the price also increases there. So this is very, very different from factory to factory and to product.
I remember when we did the hummus together for the first time in one of the Limitech mixers, the mixing time was very fast.
Yeah.
So let's say when we had the cooked soft chickpeas, we added the ingredients, we did the mixing, then suddenly let's say it was quite fast before we had a hummus.
This coarse version that I'm sitting with here. So these 2 products here are from the same recipe, same recipe and same ingredients made just 2 batches ahead of each other. The coarse one here has a mixing time of approximately between 2 to 3.5 minutes about. And this over here, which is more smooth and more fine, we are looking more towards a 5 to 6.5 minutes of mixing time with the same
So will I stand and look in the mixer and then stop, or how do I, because it's quite similar times?
Exactly. So what is done is that during startup, commissioning, and all of this of equipment, these are times that will be adjusted. So the way that they normally do this is that they are mixing for 30 seconds, they stop, they look in, take a sample, and see what it looks like. But as soon as you have dialed in the product, you know that that product with that recipe and those raw materials needs 5 minutes of mixing. Well, that's what they give them every time. There's always the opportunity to physically stand and watch and look inside of the mixer as the product is going on.
So that means when you're developing the recipe and you're developing the steps, then once you have agreed on this, let's say mixing time and this amount of olive oil, it will be programmed on the machine, and then you will, let's say, run that program when you need the coarse, and you run another program when you need the smooth hummus.
Yes.
Makes sense. I have another question.
Yes.
So the temperature when you are boiling, so non-soaked chickpeas, and with a let's say a correct amount of water that is for the recipe. So let's say 25-30% of water. We have decided that's our recipe. What's the temperature? Can you talk about let's say the cooking process?
So during the cooking process, because we are choosing to cook this in overpressure, we are able to achieve temperatures up to 120 degrees as well. Depending on if you do them from cooked chickpeas or no, from soaked chickpeas or unsoaked. If they are from soaked chickpeas, maybe you don't need to do up to 120 degrees Celsius in the water under pressure to be able to achieve them in the same time. You can do it to speed the process up, but for the unsoaked chickpeas, we are going into how could you say, a special technology and way of doing it in overpressure with a specific variation of some steam.
So with a non-soaked chickpeas with the right amount of water, temperature of 120 degrees boiling, because we use pressure, and you say then half an hour, or depending, I know on the chickpeas, but just as a rule of thumb.
Yeah, my rule of thumb is that if it's been cooking for 30 minutes, then it's enough.
Okay, so it could be less, you mean?
Yeah, I would say out of all the projects I've done and all the hundreds of trials I've done, we are always looking somewhere in between 20 to 30 minutes.
And your favorite hummus of the ones you have tried, is that spicy, plain? What's your own?
My own favorite is a plain one with a lot of acidity in it. Plain, very smooth with a lot of acidity into it. That's my liking. What about you, Anders?
For me, maybe I can say the one that surprised me the most was chocolate hummus, which was for me a little bit, let's say, crazy to think of, but it actually worked surprisingly well, because of course you are normally not thinking sweet and this type of hummus, but it was actually a very good experience. You maybe use it in a different setting, but that was also a nice twist on a very traditional product.
Yes, I have tried that one myself also, and maybe also on top of my head, I didn't even think of that, but that was a very, very, very special thing to try that I also really enjoyed.
And maybe we are getting to the end. We had some good questions, which I shared with you. So we talked to hummus, but I think you also mentioned you can do other products in the same machine. So let's say I want to do a garlic sauce, or I want to do some other types of product. Can I do that in the same machine?
Yeah, so a machine that is spec'd with the options here from Limitech to be able to produce this hummus will also be able to produce, as you mentioned, garlic sauce, different kind of emulsions like mayonnaise and dressings, hot sauces, ketchups, and these kind of condiment and convenience products. This they are also able to produce. And also some of the could be rice porridge or dairy puddings, desserts, where some of them also would require to achieve some quite high temperatures during the cooking phase to eliminate some bacteria.
So a lot of flexibility.
A lot
right?
of flexibility.
And I think also I hear you flexibility about the inlets and pumps to the filling machine and temperatures, hot fill, cold fill. Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe a different day. Any last things you would like to share, Nicolas? Or else I think we are getting to the end of it.
Just the topic again that, I know and I understand how different hummus is made all over the world. Sometimes it's mixed cold, sometimes it's mixed hot, sometimes it's pasteurized, it's filled hot or it's filled cold. And no matter the way that it's done in the different factories, I'm confident that we have a very, very good solution where we are able to do it very, very rapidly.
So that means also, as you say, you can do, let's say, a hummus for the fridge. You can do a hummus that is longer lasting. It depends, of course, also on the type of filling and packaging, but the options are there.
Options are there.
So I think maybe we leave it here, Nicolas.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone who listened in to our talk about hummus. I definitely enjoyed it. We will share with everyone. Also, I can see a couple who wanted to join, who was not able to join. We will share the video. We encourage everyone to bring questions. Already, we had good questions here, but if anyone has some follow-up questions, we will share contact details. I think most of us know how to reach us. But if someone is listening to this maybe at a later stage, or you're sharing it with a colleague, then we will put our contact details available. Excellent. Thank you, everyone, for listening in to today. And then let's see what will be the topic next time we talk about another product. But we will keep people informed.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. See you, Nicolas.
See you, Hans.